Welcome back to the SPL EU relegations that are happening all day today, and we'll find out the two teams that are going to be entering the Pro League. Tolly's going to join me for the next set. How you doing, Tolly?
Pretty good. You know, the last at Optimus Gang against Sanguine, it lasted quite a while, but then finally Optimus Gang got it.
But now, the difference is it's going to be the Papis back once again. Here's a little look at the bracket for you guys at home as well, just to see exactly how this is going to break down all through the day. At the top of the bracket right now, Optimus Gang, with that one game played, means they've got one win. If you win two, you're pretty much through.
You're in a safety net if you win. There still could be some tiebreakers potentially if you find those 2 wins, but once you get that lucky number 3, then you're guaranteed in the summer split. Now,
Novus Orsa is the team that Papis have to face here. Novus Orsa are the defending Pro League team. This team has had some roster changes. They used to be known as Lion Guard. They took away Frezzyy from this roster, and they've introduced new blood to this team as well. They're still trying to find their place as a team up against the Papis who've been together for a while.
That's right. Frezzyy was the former jungler here. Now it's going to be Axioz and Rebound in that solo lane. The tri-core here between ShadowNightmare, Frezzyy, and FleuryQ should have the leadership and experience necessary to try to get back here into the SPL.
But then the Papis have Warchi, and we talk about experience. Warchi is one of the most well-known. He's playing Hunter role here today, I believe. He's been around the scene for a long time, Warchi. He's one of the biggest Spanish streamers as well. Not only that, he's played solo. I've seen him in the mid lane. I've seen him in the jungle. Now he's Hunter.
Well, there's a difference between popularity and execution in the Pro League, so we'll see if him and his team can make it now to the summer split.
Let's go into picks and bans and see how this one plays out. Novus Orsa will be first pick, first ban. The Papis will get the secondary option, which means they get an option in the counter ban stage where they can get a priority pick potentially.
Normally, you save that last pick for the solo lane counter matchup. We'll see sometimes earlier aggression towards the Bellona or the Osiris, depending on how safe you want to play. But from the Papis, we're going to have iCreeDx playing in that solo lane. Not necessarily too familiar with how he's going to play the style, but he's definitely going to have that counter pick if he elects to use it.
Now, the Papis did go through the Challenger circuit and ended up second there. It was a tough little battle for them to get to that point. But now they're facing old opposition. I'm pretty sure ShadowNightmare has faced the Papis more than any other player for relegation spots time and time again. Because I always see these two teams go at it at some point in time. Susanov, Circuit, and Fafnir banned out right now. Kernano still available.
A lot of aggressive junglers taken away from the Papis from Novus Orsa, so it means that they're going to play more of a passive style. They don't really want to get ganked too early on. They want to be able to farm it up and get to that mid-game form.
Yeah, a little bit too worried about the aggression in the jungle with the mobility from a Circuit and a Susano as well. Novus also have a decision to make here. It should be Kurnanos, right? Like, that's what everyone's talking about. It should be, but it's not.
It's not this time around. It's a lot of different metas within teams. You know, some teams have been playing this new god in the Hunter role. Other teams have been knowing how to play against it. This is one of the gods where you're looking for a lot of these team fights in the earlier stages of the game. And if Novus Orsa expect that, then maybe they're just going to sit in that lane to prevent the team fights from even happening.
Vulcan locked in for the Papis here. Still no Kurnanos pick. Maybe neither team really value it. Overall, at least in terms of the first pick is stage, it will be Terra and Vulcan locked in. So with Fafnir taken out, it seems to be Europe is saying Terra's the second go-to support right now.
I like the choice from Papis to pick up this Terra Vulcan. A lot of space control between the turret, between the root dash combination here from Terra, as well as the stun. Great setup for your mid laner.
I'm just enjoying the music.
I'm digging it too. I think Novus Orsa is too as
this
well.
This is way better picks and band music than I'm used to, I'll tell you that much. Khepri locked in for Novus Orsa, so great lane presence. Obviously, the clear's pretty solid at the start of the game, but obviously you've got that revive available to you as well that can come into play and allow your team like Bellona and Batz now drafted to go very deep and then revive them once more.
Not only that, the level 1 presence from Khepri is going to topple Terra's level 1, obviously not having the combination of the monolith dash or the stun dash. So having that Khepri in the dual lane or even mid lane, because sometimes supports will go opt to go there, that's going to be a huge advantage for Novus Orsa to start off and see if they get a slight edge in the pushing power to look for an invade.
Well, it's back over to the Papis again now before the counterban phase comes through. They're having a lot hard to think about this. They're going to go to the Erlang Shen, which kind of dictates solo lane for me for this Erlang we're expecting.
More than likely, since it's a Terra, it could also be Terra in the solo lane, Erlang Shen in that support role, which could also look for some easy setups for the Vulcan. You have the nice taunt, knock up, the root, no longer a cripple, but either way, still a great utility style god.
Well, Humbat's picked and Humbat's banned away right now. We'll make sure that we get that fixed with the correct one, just so you guys at home know as well. But obviously, the Papis are looking to probably ban mid laners here away from ShadowNightmare. They've already banned away the Morrigan, just in case they have to deal with that. Although we've seen it in the jungle role, but Pretty Prime's really been the only mid lane to really show how good it can be. But there's the Poseidon ban as well.
Surprised that they opted to go for the Morrigan instead of gods such as the Ra or the Kukulkan, knowing ShadowNightmare. He likes these high burst mages. Even the Scylla sometimes every now and then. Morgan's not necessarily a god that ShadowNightmare is known for, which leads me to believe that the Papis have been doing their homework against this mid laner.
Well, over to the Papis, and they will pick up the Medusa for the duo lane here, so not going to go for Kurnanos. Neither team seem to be favouring it right now from what I can tell. Unless one of those Batz picks or bans is the Kurnanos, so I may have to adjust that afterwards. Novus Orsa will draft the Rama, and then finally they're looking for the mid laner here, more than likely. Tough, we're expecting Zeus.
Maybe even Ra, because of the resiliency of this composition. Khepri having... Ooh, well,
that's resiliency.
That definitely is, having a lot of protections in that mid-mage. But either way, I was thinking Ra because you have the heal, you have Khepri rising down for the damage mitigation. That would be a nice team comp. But with the Zhong and the Batz, it leads me to believe that it's going to be a very aggressive opening from Novus Orsa.
There's one problem though, Tolly, is that when you look at a Zhong, the one thing you don't want to have to deal with too much is displacement or knockups. And one thing Vulcan has is knockups, but then you've also got Erlang Shen with the slows, as well as Terra with the walls, and now they've locked in a Nemesis to just shred the protections on top of that. Could be a tough game for ShadowNightmare.
It could be, but keep in mind though, when Zhong does pop that ult, he will be immune to knockback, so that's not going to be a factor for that ultimate. But the counter pick, instead of the soul lane counter pick, they have the jungle to counter the mid lane here. Nemesis, one of the greatest counter picks to Zhong, just to be able to get that ultimate off every single time.
Tolly, you know more about solo lane than me. Erlang Shen up against Bellona. Who are we favouring in this matchup and why?
In the long run, it's going to favor rebound here on the Bellona, just because once he uses the bludgeon, he's going to permanently have that hammer hitting AoE, whereas iCreeDx on the Erlang Shen, he's only going to have that AoE splash on his third hit in the attack chain.
Now, Axioz in the jungle for Novus Orsa here today. He replaced Frozzyy in the jungle role for Lion Guard, now known as Novus Orsa. But Axioz used to play, if you recognize his name, he played for Cringe Crew in the solo lane for a split for a little while. Now entering the jungle in the Pro League, we'll see how he can do here alongside ShadowNightmare.
Zhong and the Batz looking for a little bit of poke against this Nemesis and Vulcan, but a lot of soul laners have been starting to make this early level 1 rotation.
Go straight in onto ShadowNightmare 2, and there's no escape for the big fat man right now. He'll get onto the tower. Oh, will he get first blood? No, he'll live! Creed couldn't take one more tower shot, but ShadowNightmare got crippled there. You even saw that Axioz just abandoned him as well. Like, peace, boys, I'm out. I'm at least going to try and get some farm elsewhere and live.
This has been a very common strategy for the past couple of weeks, but the only difference between this time that it was executed was the lack of a Sunder. Normally, a lot of soul laners will take the risky opportunity to look for that level 1 gank, and if they can even find a kill, that's going to be a huge lead, even if they do miss out on half a wave in the soul lane.
Well, pressure in the mid lane for the Papis, but on the left-hand side, Novus Orsa did manage to invade the purple buff early on with that Khepri Rama up against the Terra and the Medusa. That's to be expected, but now it's level 2. It could be a bit of a different story. Frezzy's in trouble.
Warchi dashing into Frezzyy, and Frezzyy yet again, a common occurrence. He's always trying to look for an early fight, despite his Hunter not looking for the same option. Looking at the Rama build, he's going for the Death's Toll Devourer Gauntlet Tier 1, which doesn't give you any physical power at rank 1. You're looking for the lifesteal and to be able to sit in the lane as long as possible.
Well, Warchi's going to get himself first blood for relatively free. Rebound, meanwhile, has to fight 2 in this lane consistently, as Dheylo and Creed doing good work to keep the pressure onto him, knowing that the Papis in the mid lane had the pressure there for Ojoboom. It relieved a lot, and now with the kill in the left-hand side too, Papis are technically controlling every lane.
Doing pretty good so far, getting even the Oracles to boot. Now, sometimes in a 1v2 situation, despite losing your own blue buff, it's not the end of the world because you're still getting that solo experience farm, so hitting level 5 for rebound is going to still be on the same pace. The problem is getting all this poke outside of the tower is not going to help him stay in the lane.
Yeah, it's an extra potion advantage right now in that solo lane for Creed on that Erlang Shen. You can see he's got 2 multi potions, 2 normal left. Whereas Rebound, he's only sat on the 1-on-1, and with no blue buff either, he's going to be a little bit further behind as time goes on. But because of the sharing going on, it's even for now.
Definitely the dream scenario for a soul laner, to have your jungler here. You had a lot of presence in the mid lane because of your earlier rotation, so therefore ShadowNightmare and Axioz doesn't really have much control on either side of the jungle. We saw so many different kind of styles of aggressiveness between Papis between the left and the right-hand side. Haven't really been getting successful in terms of the right side mid-Harpies or the Elementals, but with this advantage in the solo lane for Creed, he's looking to continue to be a big old bully.
And the Erlang Shen, not something we've seen too much of. We've seen more of the Osiris, more of the Bellona, more of the Raven in this lane than the Erlang Shen that just comes in now and again. But that start that he did onto Zhong in the mid lane slowed down ShadowNightmare enough to make an impact there as well, and just giving them an advantage in the solo lane for the time being with all the pressure Dheylo's given him.
And you saw the way he initiated that by going, instead of going for the root, he went for the Mink at level 1, which increases his attack speed. He's going to be able to chase down the Zhong even faster. Had he had Sunder, that would have been a kill, but still having the teleport puts him in a great position to stay in this lane in case things go south and not lose too much and still be able to recover.
Let's just keep rebound in check is all we're going to be looking for Creed to be doing here. The teleport has come out from rebound now, who went back to base, got himself some wards, finished off his ninja tabby he's gone for here. Extra attacks that he's looking for with the Scourge, more than likely he'll be maxing, just because he knows that Creed can knock him out of that bludgeon.
Well, just anything, honestly, works well with the ninja tabby, works well with the passive, but a 3-on-3 around the jungle side. Buff's about to respawn. ShadowNightmare pops the ultimate.
But not going to find anything as the shell does come out, and now ShadowNightmare gets turned on by 2. Walls come crashing down. ShadowNightmare not body blocked to high heaven, but the Vulcan ult was good. Still, though, ShadowNightmare's alive, but Frezzy's ult is not going to keep him alive for long. Shadow goes down to Dheylo as a big meatball comes out in the backfire to rebound 2. Still in the mix is Creed as at the same time, because he's Dracomarino in a bit of trouble there for a moment, but he'll dash through once again and get another kill for the Papis. The Spanish Giants are here, and Novus Orsa, they are crumbling to their might.
Make that 3 deaths on the side of Novus Orsa. Nothing to do for FleuryQ against Warchi as he's just trying to finish off those Devo gloves, and that's going to be a speed buff invaded for the Papis. You're always looking for this stuff after the stuff, and Papis have been so successful, and that was a great team fight because of how long they waited to use that Vulcan ultimate right at the midpoint health of ShadowNightmare. At this point, Vulcan ultimate doesn't do too much damage where it's going to one-shot you, so they didn't pop the Khepri ultimate. Not only that, the level 1 mindset of the Terra player here, going for a shell, and this has been the one downfall of Zhong in general. You pop the shell every time he ultimates, and there goes a lot of your damage over time.
Now, it is a weaker shell than what we've seen previously, but it's still going to make an impact against the Zhong ultimate. But not only that, you're still going to deal with Dheylo on the Nemesis that's going to be trying to shut you down as well. And the sustained damage that came out there from ShadowNightmare wasn't enough to do anything. Frezzy's ultimate was a little bit lackluster, a little bit too early, expected more bursts to happen. Instead, it just allowed the Papis to wait for the right moment and then just pick Novus Orsa apart.
And the timing of that grouping up from the Papis leads me to believe that they're in a great spot here. They've definitely been practicing this kind of invades time in and time out. The respawn of the speed buff happens around the 345 mark after the first wave. Every single jungler goes for their own speed buff, recognizing this. Papis capitalizes it off of the first blood, which didn't really necessarily matter too much earlier on in the game, but that 3 kills is putting them in a great spot heading towards the mid-game.
Well, the second hog in 2 games I've seen so far. Frezzyy has started with a hog on Khepri this game. Did manage to hog away one of those oracles there just to make sure it's an even split. No one has ward coverage advantage over the Novus Orsa now that they've placed a ward down of their own. FleuryQ in the dual lane up against Warchi with that 1-level lead. You can see that Warchi did go for full boots here, not gone in straight into the Transcendence. But now that FleuryQ has the sustain on Devour's gauntlets, he can take a little bit of poke and just resustain it back off the minions once more.
And that was the whole point, which is why we saw Frezzyy going in here again on the right-hand side. Terra Blessing being popped. Slow, not on the
Guess what's on the left, though, Tully? Guess what's on the left? The Gold Fury's being done. The snipes are coming out from FleuryQ looking to steal it away, but he won't be able to do so. The Papis pick up a free Gold Fury by allowing the pressure to be on Creed.
The snowball and momentum is heavily into Papis' favor. The ultimate from ShadowNightmare. Frezzyy forced into a defensive ultimate. Good job by Dheylo zoning out too, while ShadowNightmare's left in a 1v2.
We can't get Ojoboom, though. Ojoboom's still alive. He's going to backfire away again. The exorcism doesn't hit, and now Warchi's there as well. ShadowNightmare goes down to Warchi as Dheylo cleans up Axioz as well. FleuryQ has no ultimate available, maybe able to pick up Dracomarino here, but with now Dheylo wrapping around the back, he turns his attention there instead.
FleuryQ not going to be able to find the ultimate from rebound, catching Terra inside the purple cove. FleuryQ falls to Warchi, rebound catching Dracomarino in response. So far it's been a 2-for-2 in this little engagement. Still trying to get something going is the 2 solo laners. Nice little rotation from both of them. And we just saw a complete discombobulation here between Novus Orsa, just spreading themselves out too thin. We saw ShadowNightmare going all the way to the north-hand side while 2 players were too busy dealing with the Nemesis underneath.
And the Nemesis underneath, Dheylo 3-0-2 in this game so far. You don't want to fed Nemesis. She's generally a mid to late game god at best, but get her ahead early and put her against a Zhong. It's going to cause even more problems for Novus Orsa as time goes on. The Portal Demon not available just yet, but the Elementals do go the way of the Papis on the right, sorry, the left-hand side, I should say, went the way of Novus Orsa for a second. But Rebound's in a bit of trouble here on this right now. Pressure from hit Dheylo and Creed once again. Not enough to bring him down, but it will force him back to base.
It's all about the timing because of the fact that the teleport is still on cooldown for another 2 minutes. Missing out a whole wave here is going to allow the rest of the Papis to also take advantage by chipping away at this tier 1 tower. Axioz making the rotation here, but without the ultimate for another 5 seconds, not going to be able to dive this.
Yeah, but it can slow down the push, make sure they don't manage to get that tier 2 tower at the least, and be on the right side of the map to pick up the blue buff as well, so Papis won't be able to invade them this time round. First one for a rebound will help him out in this lane against Creed, who's still not been back to base. Creed, by the way, 1-0-5. Look at Rebound's build right now. You can see how much gold that Creed should have in his inventory based off the items that Rebound has.
A lot of soul laners have been opting for this build from Deathwalker, where you go Mark of the Vanguard after your boot has been completed, trying to mitigate a lot of the damage. It works a little bit more efficiently against the Bluestone Pendant kind of gods here, not necessarily against the Death's Toll, but either way, that passive is going to do wonders also against the Khepri, also the Zhong if you're looking at the side of Creed.
Well, a little bit surprised that you saw Axioz hanging around that turret that was on the ground from Ojoboom, but that gave away this game. ShadowNightmare's on his own and isolated. Fear No Evil doesn't really do much to slow them down. Ojoboom's running from Ghost, though, as the extra speed coming out from Frezzyy will not get him the kill, though, because the backfire is good. Creed from the backside ults onto Frezzyy, and Frezzy's pinned in place. He already dead before the Eagles rally even hit from Rebound. Dheylo gets out as the meatball knocks him back onto Rebound, and the snipes coming down from FleuryQ will not get a kill either. The Papis get 2 again in the mid lane.
The strategy of Novus Orsa have been read like a book from the Papis. You just pop 2 ultimates from both ShadowNightmare and Frezzyy. You let the Zhong go ham, dive that tier 1 tower, but couldn't time the death fast enough to find the revive bubble. And then things just went too far south too quickly. Novus Orsa just can't get anything rolling this game.
Rebound versus Creed on this right-hand side. Neither of them have an ultimate available, but with the mink in tow, the attack speed's there for a second. Rebound won't want to be too aggressive under the tower, though, with Dheylo in tow, so he'll just fall back for a moment. 10-2, though. 4,000 gold lead for the Spanish boys here. 6,000 experience up too. Novus Orsa are in trouble here, Tolly.
Normally, the SPL caliber team is the ones that are making the plays like this, but Novus Orsa are actually looking like the challenger circuit time around. Papis have definitely been doing a lot of work, and mostly it's been taking advantage of this Zhong out of ShadowNightmare.
It's not worked out so far, and we've seen ShadowNightmare in the past. He's always the one that will not necessarily pull out the oddball, but the unusual that we don't see too often. He was one that brought Vulcan out for a long time, and he's also mixed it up with the likes of Zhong in the past too. But it's not looked this bad for a while, and it's a little bit awkward for Novus Orsa here.
What a great route there coming out of Erlang Shen. Being able to stop the bludgeon from happening from that distance, winding it up and still stopping it from clearing out the archers. Probably could have still stayed on the tower there, but was a little afraid of the rotations happening. The wards are available from Papis around this Fire Giant side, as with the Golfier still about to respawn in 20 seconds, Portal Demon could be looked at if Papis go towards the left.
Bit of a collapse from Novus Orsa to the right-hand side here, looking for a potential pick on Creed, because there's nothing else for them to really do. But Creed seems to understand something's going on. The call from the Papis from the mid lane gives away the details, as Dracomarino would just come around and make sure he's got a ward down to keep vision, and pressure once again from the Papis, as Novus Orsa are the ones looking to group up in mid.
FleuryQ has made the rotation towards mid, expecting something to happen towards the right lane, but that allows Warchi to get the lane wave on left to be able to rotate towards the Gold Fury. So that's going to be a whole wave missed by FleuryQ.
That's happened to the Gold Fury, but look at the burst damage they got on that Gold Fury already. Down to half. Ultimate on ShadowNightmare straight away. Meatball 2. Still ShadowNightmare under pressure as well. This time the ult from Frezzyy will come through as Axioz is cleaned up. The Vulcan ult will force the Aegis out of ShadowNightmare. The Fat Man's still trying to run, but he's got nowhere to go now. The Ghosts come out, but the Ghost will go the same way as ShadowNightmare. Back to the fountain.
FleuryQ looking for the snipes, but it's not going to be too meaningful here. Nobody's low enough for him to execute, and I love what the Papis did there. They baited out the Khepri ultimate so quickly onto ShadowNightmare, but they switched all their attention to Axioz as he was trying to escape towards the left-hand side. And look at this, during this whole time, Creed hasn't even made the rotation, and he's been able to get the tower.
Looking for the steal, won't find it. Papis get the Gold Fury. Warchi picks up Frezzyy, and now Rebound's in trouble too. The teleport coming in from Creed will isolate Rebound from getting an escape route, and FleuryQ's like, you know what, boys, I think I'll just join you in base and go buy items, because I can't contest the might of the Papis right now.
A 3-for-0 and Gold Fury around the 12 minute mark. Papis are just on fire now with this almost 8,000 gold lead. They're going to continue to push down this tier 1 tower on the left-hand side. And this is when things are going to start to get really dicey for Novus Orsa, because they haven't been winning these team fights, and they're not a composition that's going to be able to really bounce back. I feel like they need to group up and win these team fights in a 5v4 situation without Creed there. If you don't win that, you're not winning the game.
I can see that totally as well, because it's not, for me, it's not the gold, it's the 10,000 experience at 13 minutes. The level difference in every single role is getting out of hand. And don't forget, you want level 12 for relics. You need those second relics, and not one player, Novus Orsa, I believe, has a second relic available to them right now. Scratch that, just rebound in the solo lane as the Portal Demon is started by the Papis.
Trying to get more gold into their pocket, of 750 to be exact, credited towards the Papis, not able to find anything in response.
Got body blocks. Oh, they got body blocked to high heaven, which means Papis can collapse a little bit more. Although Creed changes his mind when he sees Shadow-Nightmare again. The Fatal Wheel from Axioz just to defend his mid laner, but that leaves Frezzyy alone, who ults himself, stunned in place by the walls dropping down from Draco. And Warchi will claim his 7th life of this game.
Frezzyy uses ultimate a little too early there, but it still gives you that movement speed modifier to be able to still get out of danger, but just too much damage and control coming out of Papis. Nowhere to go for the hug bug, but they're not done yet. Despite the split push coming out of FleuryQ on the left, Papis want this tier 2 in mid.
Shadow toyed in place by Creed, and Dheylo picks him up. The Vulcan fireworks for celebration there is all it was. Rebound's gonna get a tier 1. Left hand side, FleuryQ will get a tier 1, but the Papis will get a Phoenix.
They want it so badly. They're still here, all grouped up. Creed made the rotation towards left just to stop the tier 2. That's how confident they are, that they don't even need the Erlang Shen to Phoenix going down in the mid lane. Not even 15 minutes in. Not even the Fire Giant.
I mean, they get 2 tier 1 towers, that's all they get. But Axioz falls down to Dheylo as Warchi wants to get a bit more aggressive onto Frezzyy there. Left-hand side, you can see FleuryQ didn't find the tier 2 he was looking for. And now the Fire Giant is the attention the Papis could turn to already. It's only 15 minutes, but that's what we're looking at here. The Fire Giant's the next thing they need.
Especially with Axioz still dead for another 15 seconds. As long as they have somebody to tank it for Warchi, they should be in a good spot. But they're feeling very confident that they don't need to force the issue quite yet. They're going to have a lot of fire minutes flooding down the middle wave, so they're going to rely on somebody from Novus Orsa to defend the mid wave before the Fire Giant gets pulled.
I just don't even know who to look at Novus Orsa right now, because I can't look at ShadowNightmare and the Zhong. He's just too far behind to really make anything happen here. Maybe FleuryQ and the Rama, who's starting to go into crit now, so maybe we can get some of these cheeky, lucky crits coming through. RNGesus?
Well, right now, there's not too much hope for Novus Orsa, but the way they started the game and their draft, it had a lot of merit, but the problem was you throw one little wrench at it, everything goes downhill. That level 1 gank from iCreeDx
was enough.
Despite not finding the kill, was enough to poke out ShadowNightmare so hard that there was no jungle presence from Axioz or ShadowNightmare, allowing both Dheylo and Creed to control the right-hand side of the map. And then, unfortunately, Frezzyy does Frezzyy things. As always, it goes a little too ham, whereas FleuryQ is trying to just farm up, get the Devil Gloves online, and then he gives up first blood, and then the rest of the game is just kind of history.
Well, it looked like Creed might have been the one in trouble there, but with a 2-level lead over at least everyone on that team, he can now turn his attention to Rebound, who hung around too far. The Thorns will deal a little bit of damage, but he ain't escaping very far unless Frezzyy uses the ultimate, which he does, and that's 2 ultimates down from Novus Orsa to just keep their solo laner alive.
Fire Giant still available, looking like they're going to go for it instead of going for the tier 2. Quite a Frezzyy being procced as well. Fire Giant very low, about half health. Nobody even in contention. Vulcan ultimate just for good measure.
I love the calls from Papis on their relic choices as well. 2 Sunders, which is fantastic at stripping down someone like ShadowNightmare, or even Rebound if he comes to the front line there. He's basically second Nemesis ult as well.
Absolutely, you're getting a lot of extra penetration from the Frezzyy, a lot of good choices of the relics. Rebound falling yet again. Not really much he could have done there with everybody from Papis hugging around that tier 2 tower. Creed still on the left-hand side, looking like he wants a split push while he has that teleport.
Dheylo's going to catch FleuryQ in the jungle here, but he just slices and dices away for a second. It will force out his Aegis, though, as a rundown is on from Dheylo with the extra mobility from Terra. It doesn't take long for Dheylo to pick up another kill, and now it's ShadowNightmare once again, trying to walk his way back to his base, but he'll take a trip home once again, the faster way.
This could be actually game here. Novus Orsa are sitting without 4 of their members. It's only Frezzyy for another 5 seconds until Rebound makes a revive, and Papis, they're looking like they're going to win their first game here,
They
Graham.
could, and that's really important for them too, Tolu, because in the grand scheme of things, They've always been on the cusp, but right now taking game 1 off a Pro League team. We just saw the same thing happen to Sanguine. Is this the split? Is this the relegations where both the Challenger teams make it to the SPL and we lose 2 Pro League teams?
It's all about your homework and execution. Papis have done both this game. Novus Orsa look completely sloppy. They only found 2 kills so far, and those 2 kills, they couldn't even get anything off of. The objective control was 100% going the way of the Pop.
Is that a blink on ShadowNightmare, by the way? That is blink, right?
Yes, that is Blink at level 12 with Gem of Isolation, expecting to blink in, use the ultimate, and get revived from Frezzyy, despite being 4 levels behind.
I mean, I can see, I don't really think that's a real thing. I think that's just ShadowNightmare giving up the go on this one, because blink on Zhong, if you get out of position, you blink back to safety before you get hit. Okay, that makes sense. You're blinking in all in. Okay, that kind of makes sense, but Bead did help you out quite a lot against these slows.
Absolutely. Not even that. You might as well even go with Thorns here as Zhong. With the amount of damage that you've been taking this whole entire game.
Or Sprint.
Or anything, honestly, besides the blink, because you're going to get absolutely melted unless you're really trying to proc off that Khepri ultimate, which doesn't really make sense because you're not going to maximize the damage coming out of the Ghost. And Novus Orsa, heading into the 19 minutes, they're sitting with only their mid-Phoenix now just respawn. Fire Giant still around the waist for Papis for another minute and a half.
Tell you what though, Toli, the next game that we're going to be going over is Novus Orsa versus Sanguine Esports. Both the Pro League teams down a game by the looks of it if the Papis can close this one out. And the loser of that is probably not making it back in the Pro League.
That's a huge momentum downer if somebody loses the next game because it doesn't look very good here for Novus Orsa. Girdle gets popped and they're going in.
There's the frenzy and there's the all-in potential coming out right now. The Papis looking to clean this one up and they will do so. Papis manage to take their first game against Novus Orsa. Both the Pro League defenders of their relegation spots have been defeated already.
In spectacular fashion, not even 20 minutes into the game, they got the middle Phoenix before 15-minute mark.
Yep.
They only gave up 2 deaths the entire game. They've just been on fire that whole game.
Fantastic work from the Spanish guys as well. That's going to be a really big one for them. Because for me, I'm rooting for them deep down. I'm not going to lie. I'm rooting for them because they've been here so many times. They deserve a shot at the Pro League in my eyes. But maybe this is the time. Maybe it is.
It is, depending.
Could be.
The way they played that game, if they could do that consistently every single game, they could definitely be that middle-of-the-pack team. The question is, how can they play from behind? Who's going to test them during the relegation?
True. Well, Optimus Gang, they did have a good performance up against Sanguine in Game 1. Picks and bans for Sanguine were a little bit awkward. Picks and bans from Novus Orsa, they're a little bit awkward as well. If the 2 Challenger Circuit teams keep playing and looking at their drafts correctly, could be in for an interesting day as this one continues. Obviously, all the teams still have to play each other. They've only had 1 game each, so it's still all to play for right now.
Still looking for that second magic win here is Papis. Can they find it later on in the day?
Well, we'll find out as soon as we can. We're going to go straight to a break, though, and as soon as we come back, we'll have Game 3, which will be the Pro League teams facing off. Novus Orsa versus Sanguine. Who's going home?